Hello and welcome to this recording in various parts of the mock test. I'm going to start by setting up the new company in the opening balances. I've gone into Sage, I've opened a company that I already have, and I'm now trying for File New Company. Now you may have to delete an existing company, use the delete company to make some room if Sage gives you a message that it can set up a new company. But anyway, I've done that myself actually. Now you may want to change where you save it here, so browse to an area where you will want to save it. That will be in your own user area or on a USB stick, so you can load it up later onto my computer. Enter your name. So the rest is fine. General. Now, when does the year start? The year in our case starts in January 2014. Okay. Yes, our company is VAT registered. It's not using the cash basis, or ignore that. So the only thing we need to do here now is to change the 21.5% to 10%, just to keep it simple. Next. Our base currency is euro. May have to change it inside on the computers in the labs. It may end up as show as sterling. And lovely, we have our company set up, so we just have to sit and wait now. So it might make sense actually to be setting up the new company first of all, and then you can start reading the question and having a look at the transactions to see if there's anything different or unusual in it. There probably won't, mind you. Okay, so it takes a minute or two, so you can go and get a cup of tea while you're watching this. Now, okay, I'm still waiting here. And this must be at least a minute. Gosh. Okay, at last we're in. Manager. Okay. Now the first thing we have to do is we have to enter the opening balances. Remember, our year started in January, so we must enter the opening balances as the day before the year started, which is 31/12/2013. Now, thanks to Linda, a little trick here to save us typing in the date 31/12/2013 so often. Let's go to settings and let's change the program date to 31/12/2013. Okay. Now we'll get this warning message, we'll accept it, okay, and do okay. Now we're going to start by entering our two customers, our two debtors. So go to customers, new customer. We get the customer wizard, off we go. Our first chap is Andy, and we just pretty much accept most things here. We've got a default. We'll just tick that box, say that we want to use that default VAT rate for sales. 4,000 seems fine. Currency isn't showing, but I'm sure it's okay. We'll say the terms agreed just to stop in a 9. Reminder coming up. Now by changing the program date, this settings change program date, it has put the program date in as the date the account opened, which is excellent. Next, next, next. There is an opening balance to enter. We can put it in as either as individual transactions. This option may not show, but one value should be available to you. And here it is again, the usefulness of having set that up. So let's just wipe that over, and 25,000. Next. And date entered. Do you want to continue? Yes. And finish. And let's quickly enter the second fella, or lady, whoever it is next. The second one is Arthur. Okay, lovely. Next, next, next. Again, 1040 that's all perfect. Just by ticking that box, it'll prompt us for T1 rather than us having to enter it every time. Terms agreed, yes. Just again to save in a 9. Reminder box opening. Account opened, excellent date. One value. And we're talking here for Arthur 35,000. Two together being 60,000. Okay, next. and yes, and finish. Okay, and maybe just a quick look at the nominal ledger just to see is that working out okay. The two guys should now be in debtors and the total should be 60,000, 35 and 25, that's correct. Back now and let's keep moving. We want to enter our creditors or our suppliers, so modules, suppliers. So we have new suppliers to enter, 2 new suppliers. Next, our first supplier is Mick. Ireland is perfect, you may have to change it in yours. Again, Mick is coming to 5,000, defaulting to that, we'll use that code. Terms agreed, yes, very same as the debtors, the customers. Again, 3112, fine. Next, an opening balance, yes. Next, and Mick has 17,000. Sorry, just apologies. Hit some. Okay, next. Do you want to continue? Yes. And finish. And let's just have to be patient with this really, it's not particularly complicated. And we've got to put in our second chap, who is Max. Next. Ireland is fine. Next. Details are probably okay, even though they may not be. It's prompting with 5,000, but we'll accept it and we'll use the default. Terms agreed, again, just ticking it to save us having in a 9 text box, that's fine. There is an opening balance to enter. Don't worry, if you make a mistake, go to File, Maintenance, Corrections, and you can correct the transaction there in the audit trail. And max 27,000. Next, do you want to continue? Yes, we do. Finish. Now our two creditors should now show a balance of 17 and 27, 44,000. Modules, nominal ledger. Okay, so it's down around 2,000, I think. 44,000, there we are. Remember, down at the bottom, all these are double entering with the mispostings or suspense account. So we're tipping along fine. Now, we're in the nominal ledger module, so we're going to enter the other opening balances directly in here into the accounts. And the first one is that we have to enter is stock of 6,000 euros. So let's find the stock account. This is the stock on the balance sheet. Don't get your stocks mixed up. Double click in it. Okay, now the balance comes up here and it says opening balance. Again, because we've set the program date, it saves us having to type it in. And it's a debit balance opening stock and we're told it's 6,000. And let's try and get the bloody thing to appear. There it is now. And let's save it. Okay. And let's close stock down. Now let's go to, and there it is appearing. Our next opening balance is bank balance of 114,000. So bank is 1,200. So again, double click. Again, click on the opening balance. Up the options come. Is it a debit or a credit? It's a debit. It's 114,000. It could be a credit if it was an overdraft. So just watch out for that in case I pull that little one on you. And finally, we have a long-term loan of, so we need to find a loan account, which I think is down around 2,000, 3,000, 2,300 loans. We might just change the name, loans. It's a, I'll just put in, it's a 5-year, 10%, 5-year, 10%. And again, click on the balance. The details must be saved. Yes, okay, fine, let's save it. Opening balance 3112. Now the loan is a credit balance. So the loan has a balance of 12,000. Fine, save. And finally, we have our capital to enter, which is ordinary shares. Double click on it, opening balance. Again, it's a credit balance. And we have to enter a credit balance of 124. Oh, dearie me. 124, 123. Save. Now let's just check our nominal ledger. If everything has gone well, the mispostings account or the suspense account should be 0, and it is. So that concludes the first section. Okay, welcome back. I've paused the first video where I completed entering the opening balances. Now one of the key time savers was when I changed the settings, the program date. Now I'm going to enter the transactions for the month. So I'm going to go and change the program date back now to the end of the period. Okay, so the period I want to record for is January, so I want to change the program date to 31/01/2014. And that should be very good. Okay, so let's start by putting in our transactions. So we'll start with the first transactions are the two purchase invoices. They are purchase invoices which go into the suppliers modules. We'll go for a batch of invoices. The first account is to make, so hopefully now there we are, make. Okay, it prompts a date there. It's not the correct date. We change the date. The reference is purchase invoice 1. Now what's the nominal code for this invoice? Well, it is 100 widgets. Widgets are purchases. It's prompting us with purchases. That's fine. Okay. What's the figure before VAT? The figure is 3,000. And T1 is the VAT code for T1 is 10%. That's excellent. So that's the first one in. Lovely. The second one is to Max. Okay. So that's the 4th of January, 04/01/2014. It's reference number 2. Again, it's prompting us with 5,000. Is that the correct code? It may or may not be. Just check. Again, it actually happens to be the correct code. It's widgets, so it's the purchases of widgets. That's fine. The figure before that is 600. And we know that T1 is... And we're done. So that's the first two purchase invoices in. Didn't take too long. Okay, so let's close that down now. And the next two are two sales invoices. Sales invoices are the customer module. A batch of sales invoices. Very similar to entering the batch of purchase invoices. The first one is to Andy for 80 widgets. Okay. The date is the 6th, so 6/01/2014. The reference is number 1, I think. Doesn't have to be, but it could be. It's prompting us with account 4,000 as the other entry did for the double entry. Sales type A, that's perfect. And it's for 80 widgets, it's for 4,000 before VAT. And at this stage I know that T1 is the correct VAT code, so I'm going to jump on down and it correctly calculates the VAT for me. Okay, the second one is to Arthur. Let's select Arthur. Okay, the date is 07/01/2014. The reference is number 2. I'm being prompted with 4,000. Is that the correct? Well, again, it's more sales. Now be careful, it may not be. It's unlikely not to be it, but it may not be. 1,000 plus VAT. And let's just click somewhere else to see 1,100. That's perfect. That's our two sales invoices in. Remember, you can always correct the details with file, maintenance, corrections. Okay, so that's saved. Let's close that batch. Now we get onto something a small bit more complicated. We have our cash sales and a cash receipt. So let's head for the bank module. We can close this one down. And modules bank. Okay, so the first cash receipt is a cash sale. So that is a receipt. Okay, so it says, what bank account do you want me to put this money into? 1,200 is perfect. What's the date of it? The date of it is the 8th of January, 08/01/2014. Have you a reference? What's the receipt reference numbers? Cash receipt number 1. Now what nominal code? Well, it's actually sales, isn't it? And sales is 4,000. So that's okay. Okay, any details to enter? No. What's the figure? Well, the figure is the figure including VAT. Cash sales of 140 widgets at 50 plus VAT amounting to 7,700 in total. So it's 7,700 in total including the VAT. Now, the VAT is T1 is correct, but this time, that's okay. We have to go back here, and instead of adding the VAT on, we have to calculate net. In other words, the VAT is included. Don't worry, it should be fairly obvious, and if it's not obvious to you, just ask. Now, that's the only one we had of. That is the only bank receipt we had. We had only 2 receipts in total. So that's a receipt. So close that down. The other receipt is from a customer. It's a customer receipt. So let's find customer receipts. And that's not customer receipts. Where's customer receipts? And it's hiding there, so don't get too frazzled. It's somewhere in there, alright. Account 1,200. Now, what customer gave us the money? It was Andy. So let's go to Andy. See, it's quite a different screen, so it should be fairly obvious to you. Okay. Now what did Andy pay us? Andy paid us 19,000 in part payment of his opening balance. So here's Andy's opening balance. So we're going to allocate 19,000 in there against that. Have we a reference for that? Yes, we have. Reference number 2. Let's take a look at it. 19,000, that all looks fine. Save that one up. Okay, and close. Excellent. Now we go to our payments. We have 3 payments, 3 checks. 1 check is to a supplier, the other 2 checks are just payments. So we go to payments first. And again, this is very similar to receipts. What bank account? Yes, 1200 will be perfect. What's the date of the first check? The first check, check 1, is on the 12th, 1201-2014. Reference number 1. And the check is for rent. Now, we need to find rent. So perhaps one way of finding rent quickly is to click on names. Click on names again, which sorts them both ways. And let's backtrack here, and hopefully there's a rent account, which is fairly obvious. Rent, excellent, 7100, okay. What are the details? The details are, including VAT, are 9240. I know the T1 is the correct, so if I calculate net, that will split that up into the pre-VAT figure and the correct VAT figure. Okay, done. The second non-supplier payment is for the van. It's again, so what account do we want to take this money out of? It's 1200, the current account. What's the date of the transaction? 2001-2014. What's the check number? It's check number 2. What's the account code? We need a code for van. Now we may find it here. Vehicle insurance, vehicle depreciation. I think it's probably under motor vehicles. So if we go back and select these and sort these by account number and put them back, we may actually spot it here. Motor vehicles is perfect. Okay. And the figure before VAT is 22,000. And I know T1 is the correct VAT code. So if I calculate net, that's 20,000 before VAT. We're going to need that 20,000 figure now for the fixed asset register in our adjustments. Save that one up, close, and we have one last payment to do, and that finishes our transactions. So suppliers, we made a payment, check number 3, to a supplier, so enter check number 3. What was the date of the check? The date of the check was the 21st of January. Who did we pay? Who was the payee? The payee was Max. Okay, select Max. Max's transactions that we might have owed him come up. We paid him 25,000 of his opening balance, so 25,000 entered here. Click somewhere else. And 25,000 appears in the check. The check number seems to have gone. Let's put it back in. And let's go save. And we have now entered the